Talks with Papa.
Back again. So, you got to America in February 2018, and that was the defining moment for you after seeing me pregnant, seeing my struggles, that you realized, okay, I have to be here for this girl.
Right.
So, would you speak on your transition moving from Nigeria to America and how that was for you?
So even though we were engaged, we still wanted to do things right. We like do the wedding in December of that year, and then kind of like slowly transition or figure out what we're gonna do from there. But being pregnant was like a huge jump. It was something that we didn't plan. So when I came here and saw that you were sick, and you also being in law school, I think you were in your second year, first semester at the time, I knew that quitting was not an option. Like I didn't want you to like not finish law school. And again, I knew that it was something that also worried you why you didn't want to be pregnant because we had discussed this. Like so I was like I didn't want you to not finish law school. So I think I came back and forth, and every time I came here from February to June when I eventually moved, you were getting sicker and sicker. Hyperemesis is like a rare condition that few women have, when they're pregnant.
0.1%.
Right. Unfortunately, you were that 1.1% that was diagnosed with hyperemesis. So when I saw you, I was like, I can't do this to this person. You also couldn't be by yourself because you were by yourself in Chicago. So I made I think in June, you just said, Papa, you have to come here. And I remember coming, like just moving my stuff, like taking
because it wasn't planned.
Right. I just remember just coming, like I would still come back. I had everything there. My business was still there. My staff, everything that I had was still in Nigeria. I thought I was coming back, but it didn't seem like when I came here. I just saw that you were in a really bad shape, and I just couldn't leave. And also my visa, because at the time my visa was going to expire, and if I had left, I probably wouldn't be able to like renew in time and be here for the birth of the baby. It was just too much.
So you overstayed your visa.
Right,
You took a risk.
whilst I was here. Well, before then I hadn't, but before it expired, I hadn't overstayed. But then we made a decision like, I don't think it makes sense for you to go and come back. You just have to stay here. So that was a huge shock.
So we even got married.
Right.
Quick.
And then we got married, and at some point, especially after Yazid was born, I started feeling resentment because I saw that your life didn't stop really. Yes, you were pregnant, you always went to school. Even after the baby, you were only home for a week. Yes, you were going through your like own postpartum, but I didn't see the extent. I was just seeing myself. I saw that my life had stopped. For the first time in my life, I wasn't doing anything. I was just a father. Yes, I'd always wanted to be a father, but then I'm just with this child that's crying.
And you're in a new place,
Right.
with no friends, with no family,
Right.
new culture. Everything is so new to you, so it's like a shock, right?
Right, 100%. It was a total shock to me. Even just like being able to walk down the street and nobody give a rat's ass who I was wasn't exactly like appealing to me because that was also very new. Because I mean Nigeria, everybody knows you, or rather in Lagos, everybody knows you. Like you go here, you know these people. So just being in this box, I'm like, what's going on? And I'm just wheeling this child.
You went from being a king to like a
nobody.
Right.
I was literally a nobody. Like nobody cared for me. Like obviously in America, nobody cares who you are. And on top of that, I couldn't work because I didn't have papers. So I started feeling sorry for myself. The child that I thought I wanted the most, I was like, I wasn't even as interested. Yes, I loved the hell out of Yazzie, but I was just like, there was no instant gratification at that time because yes, before then I would do a collection and then people are buying, or I would do this and I'm seeing the reward. Like I was used to instant gratification, but there was nothing instant about that phase.
It was a process.
It was just I wasn't used to that. So I'm like, what is this? And I feel like a lot of people don't really enlighten people on like what the extent of immigration or migration, what that does to you. It's a total shock to the body. Because it's just everything's done a different way. Even I realized that I used to come here very often, but when I stayed here long enough, I started being impressed by, oh my goodness, so this works, or this is how this is. It was almost like I was a JJC.
What does JJC stand for?
It's called Johnny Just Come, like somebody who's just come. It's like a saying in Nigeria, like somebody who's just come, you know. But in spite of all of this, you would pay for my haircut, you would pay for my data, you would pay for my clothes, you pay for my food. You were doing every single thing for me. That also does something for a man, you know. And if ego is what you go to bed with, that can literally mess everything up, you know. Because there are times that I could have easily read meanings to the things that you did, but I know that you did your best. But more than anything, I knew that everything you did for me was coming from a place of love, and I also was secure in myself enough to receive these things. Because I remember then you used to tell me, babe, this is all for a phase. Like, it's all a phase. There's going to be a time that you'll be like looking after the family, and I couldn't see the possibility. I was like, when, how, you know, I just couldn't, you know. So you believed in me in spite of me not believing in myself, and that did a lot to me, for me, you know. But that process was very, very tough. You know, I wasn't used to that. I couldn't even afford to buy Yazid diaper. You know, it's the truth. I just couldn't. You know, but I feel like because men, we feel like this is what we're supposed to. We are supposed to. You're not supposed to do anything.
But just be.
Right. You're not supposed to do anything, you know. And we carry this weight, and it's sometimes almost impossible to drop it. You know, and that phase in my life, I can equate it to like being sick. Because when you're sick, you can't do anything. You know, you need people to literally do everything for you.
You just have to write it out.
Right. And I think that was like me being sick, because I couldn't do anything. I needed your help for every little thing. I was also very new to this place, so I leaned on you for everything. You know, and that must have been that must have been a lot for you. You know, but we were able to find our way through that. But that really, really broke me. Like, you know how like you boil spaghetti and like you break it in like the pot? That was literally a breaking phase for me.
Your migration to America.
Right.
Do you remember what it was like when you started the process for your green card?
Oh yeah, that was another struggle, because you know, you like, this is somebody who I'd been with, and you know, we loved each other, but to the American government it's not enough. You have to prove the legitimacy of this thing, you know. And I was very prideful about that, like why? Like why? And this is me who's like, what am I coming to do here? So I already have that in the back of my mind, like I really don't want to be here. But it's not their business, because you need to work, you need to provide, you know. So that was very tough for me, having to prove that all of this was real, you know, having to dig up like our archives of pictures or like messages or like travel itinerary, or like, you know, just to show that this is real. Like that really like put things in perspective for me, like wow, you know, this really is real. But yes, it has to be real enough for them to deem me worthy of being here. That was very shocking for me.
That's awesome. Do you remember how you felt when you received your letter from
the government?
The government stating that you had been approved to work?
Yeah, it was like, I don't know, it was like, it's so funny though, because sometimes you say you don't want something or you don't care for something, but then in that whole phase, having it was all I wanted. Literally, that was all I wanted, to be American, so that I can work, so that I can provide, so that I can be a part of the system. Like by then I had like slowly removed Nigeria from my mind, and like I was leaning towards or more into the American lifestyle and the American culture, and I wanted it so badly.
So you started to embrace it.
Right, 100%. And that was all I wanted. And I remember that opening the mail and seeing the card, and it was like, I literally bought a safe the next day.
It was that valuable.
Right, because I'm like, I don't want any stories, you know. But then you see how like you go from not wanting something, or you're so bent on this is what you think you want, or this is what you think you need, and then life throws you something and you're just like a completely different person. Which is why sometimes you really need to allow yourself evolve. I don't even know how to like put this into words.
Surrender.
Right, you just have to surrender. We can't remain as human beings. You can't remain as like, this is how I am. You know, this is what I know. No, you have to evolve, and I think that's why this process was, I guess I'll say, enjoyable, because I knew very quickly that I wasn't that papa of Lagos anymore. I wasn't that papa that was designing. You know, I was a nobody here, and I had to be okay with that. I really had to be okay with just being a nobody, being a regular guy, you know, being a father, being a husband. I had to take pride in that, you know, as opposed to holding on to what was once was, and you know, just past glory of this is who I used to be, or this is how things used to be done, blah blah blah. This is what I was used to. No, you know, I had to embrace America. So yeah.
Do you remember what it was like when you went to do your green card interview and everything that led up to that moment?
I don't really remember, but I just remember being there again, defending. You know, I just felt like I had to defend and prove the legitimacy of all of this. But I guess the point of this video really is to kind of give people perspective. You know, you just have to prepare your mind for anything. The number one thing that we can do to ourselves as human beings is to be willing to become and unbecome anything. Like, we have to be dual. You can't just be one. You can't just be like one thing, because life can throw you anything. You know, it's again, I don't exactly remember the nitty-gritty, but I just remember how I was feeling. I felt like a child having to defend myself or explain myself to my teacher. You know, why did she pass me? It was like a dissertation. Like, you know, like I was defending my project. This is what this is, and this is why you should do this, or this is why I'm worthy of this, or blah blah. You know, so that was uncomfortable, but it was also enjoyable when I look back, because it taught me the ability to surrender. You know.
Lastly, what advice would you give to someone who is in a long distance relationship, who is looking to relocate, how to overcome everything? Because from what you said, I would assume that this was a great choice, and you are glad that you did the long distance relationship and migrated.
Right. I am 100% happy that that this is the life that I'm living now. This is where I'm at. I'm 100% happy with my life. Even though you may not know 100%, you know, just in that moment, wherever you are in your relationship, just be intentional. You know, just be intentional. You may not have it figured out because you don't know the dynamic of things when you get there. Life can throw you this and that, you know, but in that moment, just be intentional. Allow yourself be vulnerable. Allow yourself to, because people say communicate, but it's also how you communicate. You know, how are you saying what you're saying? Because I can say, babe, don't freaking wear this outfit. You look like a, you know, blah blah blah. And I can say, oh babe, I think you should change, because if you wear this, you would look nicer. It would accentuate your body. You would even be sexier. You know, I've passed the same message in a different way. So yes, again, how are you communicating what you're saying? So in a relationship, you have to really understand how you're communicating, especially long distance relationship, because you guys don't have the luxury of presence, of being in one another.
Physical presence.
Yeah, physical presence, in each other's presence. So you have to be very, very intentional with the things you say and the things that you do, and just allow yourself to be vulnerable and trust that process. And when it comes to that phase where you're relocating, always communicate your feelings to your partner.
Honestly.
Right, honestly, that this is how I'm feeling. Even sometimes when they may do something that makes you feel small, or makes you feel like a child, or like they're undermining you, or whatever, they don't see you, let them know.
Or bossing you.
Right, or bossing you around. Like, let them know how you're feeling. Like, this is how I'm feeling. This may not be your intention, you know, but this is how I'm feeling. And again, how they treat you will let you know for sure, 100%, how they, you know, how they feel about you, and you know, if they love you or not, really. But you owe it to yourself to be 100 all the time.
Thank you.
Thank you for having me on my channel.